He's just so far behind in the game right now. It looks like he does have a dropship, so this could be what is going to open up his game, maybe get him back into the field. He has a dropship hiding in the bottom of the map with 8 Marines, so this could be what he needs to get back in. Gretorp, meanwhile, is moving out across the middle of the field with his mass Marauder army as well as his mech just trailing right behind. Is he going to pull back in time to save his main base? I don't think so. The dropship drops all 8 Marines. The paratroopers are in, and they are going to start to just assault these SCVs, killing about 5 or 6. Looks like Gretorp is only going to pull 1 tank back to defend against this. He doesn't really want to give up territorial position by pulling all of his forces back. The Marines continue to do damage, but the siege tank sieging up, and that is going to push the dropship away. And Gretorp, oh, this is so key right here, putting the siege tanks on that ledge below the natural. This is what every Terran wants to do because they have access to the gas as well as the minerals of the natural, and gas is just so important in Terran versus Terran.
The ledge on this map is absolutely key. This is why, number one, why you want air superiority. Now he should be able to shoot down that Raven, as I don't think there's a single Marine in this army down here, but if you can get the siege tanks on this cliff, they can start to bombard the SCVs that are working. We saw him basically one-shot that geyser that was being constructed. A scan going down to give him vision of the high ground. Not sure why Silver is trying to engage this, as the 2 tanks in the back are just having fun at the shooting gallery. Pay 25 cents, kill 15 Marauders. Yes, please. So they were able to soften up this army. A great done. Once again, got run over there. We should see a scan, though, and they were able to get spotted there, I believe, by the Raven in the back. Yep, absolutely. And so that definitely did not go into his favor. This medevac wondering if she should drop again. One thing to mention, though, is that medevac, not only did it lose 4 Marines, it really only killed a couple of SCVs and I think like 1 supply depot, and this one isn't quite completed, just kind of sitting there. There goes some more auto turrets right here doing that worker harass. They do kill workers fairly quickly and almost killing that Marauder as he does back up there, and that is going to die. Minimal losses there, which I think the longer this game goes on, just kind of taking a look here at the Viking count, it looks like there's only 1 Viking remaining here for Silver, which this is just getting more and more out of control for him. I mean, just looking at the army sizes here, 80 for Silver, 133 for Gretorp. So Gretorp, man, he's just lounging in his nice comfy chair, just making sure he doesn't mess up, because we saw what happens when you get out of position. That's what happened to Silver. He does not want to make that mistake.
Banshee going down at the center of the field to that mass Viking army from Gretorp, and really this position of control. Silver has defensive advantage, but it looks like Gretorp is just going to push forward and end this game right now. He's flying in with all of his Vikings. His tank's going to siege on the ground below. He has vision of the ground above. Looks like a PDD going to drop and stop all the Viking shots for now, and I think Silver is going to be able to push back and hold his ground, but the thing is he took a lot of hits right there, trading army for army. Not the best, but I think that was well worth it. He was able to save most of his units, and he didn't lose any of his economy. He really needs to get his workers back to work, though. He is repairing some of these siege tanks, getting them back up to full capacity. And here's the thing. Silver has got 2 bases mining. Gretorp is about to get his 3rd. Gretorp still has air control. He has about 8 or 9 Vikings right now flying around in the air, whereas Silver has absolutely no Vikings whatsoever and just not a position a Terran player wants to be in. Right now, it's best if he just doesn't build Vikings at all, because there's no way he's ever going to catch up to Gretorp. He just needs some mass tanks, maybe even go for some nukes and try to push forward, try to harass the Terran player, the enemy Terran Gretorp, because he's just given up all air control right now. It's just not going to happen for him.
At this point, I don't think Silver could be more uncomfortable. I mean, he doesn't have the air superiority like you're saying, HE. His expansion is getting down later. I think his income has been behind the entire time. He must have summoned some mules. There they are. That's why his income is technically ahead, but these guys are going to die off soon, and once again, Gretorp is going to have that. And basically, every minute that goes by, SCV, why are you just chilling by the pillar? Please do not pay this guy. He is not working. Oh, there's lazy SCVs everywhere. Man, if you're an SCV, you want to work for Gretorp. But regardless, Silver is just so far behind in the economy. He's so far behind in the army size. I mean, he's still over 50 behind in that supply, and it's just once those Vikings, I mean, they're going to get to such great numbers that they can just land at all the expansions, kill all the SCVs instantly, and fly away safely. So I think Silver's only option, get a bunch of Marines and try and hope he can somehow get Gretorp out of position, but this is going downhill quick.
It is indeed going downhill quick. Like I said, if Silver can get some tanks out, like more tanks, a lot more than he's got now. He is pumping some, but he needs a lot of tanks, some siege, some unsiege, to deal with Vikings, because in this critical mass, they can just land, like you said, but tanks are fairly good against Vikings, especially when they're unsieged. Looks like Silver's going to try to secure this 3rd expansion. If he can hold on here, then he's got a chance to stay in this game. Gretorp knows it. He's on 3 bases as well. He needs to crush this expansion. Can't allow Silver to hold on to this, but I really like Silver's building positioning as well as tank positioning and bunkers. Everything designed to hold off a Terran offensive. So this is a great defensive position for him. He's got high ground. He's got build. buildings, he's got tanks and bunkers. So it looks like Gretorp decides not to push against that and instead is going to go for his gold expansion. And once he gets this fully saturated, he's just going to skyrocket above of Silver. And I don't know what Silver can do to get back, because Silver is going to need to get his own gold, but he just doesn't quite have enough units to do it. He's at 129 supply. Gretorp's at 177.
All right, here comes a drop into Silver's base right now, and this is going to get Silver out of position, which should open up the expansion for Gretorp to move in there. This is a brilliant move here by Gretorp. I think he's just dropping all Marauders to focus down these buildings, already killing one factory, got to be killing the refinery as well. These guys are going completely unchecked. The Vikings will shoot down that medevac. However, he could potentially even lose a command center right now, which I think Silver realizes it. He's just like, man, I gotta move. So he's gonna try and move out, see what he can make happen. There's the lack of air superiority. Does he have a superior ground army? No, he backs up, is going to lose almost all of his tanks. At the same time, he's even gonna lose his command center. Oh, no, he just lifted off just in time. I don't think it matters at this point, though, because there are just units marching into his base. That high yield expansion is now up and running, so his income, as if Gretorp hasn't been far enough ahead already, it is definitely going to seal the deal here in game number 1. I mean, look at this. There is just blue buildings dying everywhere, and I don't think there's anything Silver can do right now.
Gretorp has Marauders all over of Silver's map right now. He is destroying every building he sees in range and sight. Silver is waiting back with a handful of Marauders. That's all he's got, but the Banshee is just assaulting them from the air, and just, this is like the nail in the coffin for Silver, losing his last heralded force of Marauders. Nothing they can really do. He has some bunker building over here at the gold to stop Gretorp's second gold expansion. This is really a desperate attempt to salvage any kind of honor from this loss of a game. I don't think Silver is going to be in this for much longer. His entire main has been taken out by all of Gretorp's Marauders, and it looks like Gretorp's going to push forward and take out this bunker at the gold. Silver calls GG in game number 1 between Silver and Gretorp. Epic TVT. And really, Gretorp had the advantage all game long. It
really came down to that unit positioning in the very early game. I mean, we say it time and time again, but when you have an army that small and you're relying on doing an attack that early, he actually had the units to counter those Hellions perfectly, but he just misplaced them just a little bit, and all the Hellions survived until the very end, and then it just ended up costing him. He lost way too many SCVs to that Banshee. I think we're up to like 12 kills. A lot of those were SCVs, and it only had 2 HP, but he didn't have a Viking left because it died to those 2 Marines, and he didn't have a Marine to shoot down the Banshee because it flew away out of range before. So that was that's really what it came down to, the early game, and it added, and ended up costing him.
Absolutely. The turning point in that game was the Banshee getting 12 kills, getting promoted to whatever, maybe a sergeant or something, and that's really a key element of StarCraft 2. Every single little mistake you make in the beginning, if you lose 12 SCVs 10 minutes into the game, 30 minutes into the game, gonna hurt you really bad. And he took a severe punishment getting taken out in that last battle and in the entire game.
All right, so we are going to be making the next map here. And I just want to double check to make sure they did choose the right one.
All right, looks like the next map is going to be Lost Temple. And so the 2 players have agreed to play on this. Silver has, of course, chosen LT.
Yep, they are on Lost Temple, so this is a very standard map. Not too surprised to see players play on this map because it's been around forever. If you've played Brood War, it's a very similar map. I mean, same name, same similar layout, and so they are going to go ahead and get this game started. But of course, Silver cannot be feeling too comfortable about that game. But really, did he get outplayed, or was it that he just made a huge mistake by himself there at the early game? So we'll see how much it throws him off in game number 2. I mean, like I've said, I've cast a lot of his games. He's a very strong player, so I think he can still come back and give Gretorp a run for his money. But of course, he's got to do it twice now.
All right, game number 2. Gretorp here going to be spawning as the Red Terran up at the 12 o'clock position here on Lost Temple. And of course, he does have that momentum from winning in the last game. Confidence is a very important aspect in StarCraft 2, as we all know. And his opponent, Silver, going to be spawning as the Blue Terran all the way on the other side of the map. And of course, because this is a mirror matchup, no real racial advantage or anything like that, and they have spawned in the most furthest positions possible. Look for this to be a macro-oriented game. Both players obviously going to probably try to control the air. Not going to see any kind of a fast door rush on such a long rush distance map like this, as opposed to Steps of War, and look for this to be a pretty long game.
I absolutely, because basically on this map, you have to be able to prepare that if your opponent fast expands, you need to be able to lock it down with siege tanks on the high ground, and you have to be aware of that for your opponent as well. And so a lot of times on this map, you will see heavy macro matches in TVT because both players have to prepare for the possibility of a siege tank drop on their high ground, which means that you're going to have to delay a lot of units, and it can make doing a rush early, or you can try and take advantage of that and just rush your opponent with a couple Marines, throw in a Hellion into the mix and bust up their ramp. So Gretorp once again going to be getting that very early refinery, and it does look like Silver is going a more standard opener this time.
Yeah, we have a very early refinery here from Gretorp, getting that down at around 11 and then getting his barracks up. So look for him to possibly get out a scouting Reaper, possibly get Marauders, and he is definitely going to get a tech lab down on this barracks. So we'll see what kind of use he makes for that early unit. Silver here going to start scouting away with his SCV, and really a great opening for Silver right here, I think, would be to get that fast starport down, maintain air control. That's really what cost him the game, is not having a Viking to deal with the Banshee that ended up getting 12 kills in his base. He just had no anti-air whatsoever and had no anti-air towards the late game. So look for him to possibly get a 1-1-1 opening, go straight into that starport. I think it would be such a great opening for Silver in this map. And it looks like for Gretorp, he is actually going to be throwing down a very fast factory here, not going to be getting a tech lab, so really going to tech up as quickly as he possibly can. What do you think this could be for?
You know what? There are so many openings in TVT that you can do. I like this playstyle from Gretorp, though, because it worked in game number 1, and so why change what you're doing? And like you mentioned, he did skip that add-on, so there's additional gas he can put directly towards his factory. I mean, take a look over here at Silver. He's going kind of standard, getting his tech lab right now, so his factory has not even begun. So it will be interesting to see if Gretorp is going to go for that early drop to basically get really good map control, because if you basically force your opponent onto one base, which is not a comfortable position. And if Silver does not get something to drop units on the high ground, he's going to be in this weird situation where he cannot expand at his natural and will have to make something work with an early push or with expanding somewhere else. And so there's the factory going down right now, and we don't see a Hellion here, as there goes the starport. He is indeed going to be opening up with a barracks factory and the starport, not too uncommon as a Terran opener.
Yeah, I think Gretorp just wanted to really rush the starport. This is actually the build I was trying to advise for Silver, but it looks like Gretorp instead is going to be busting this out. He does have the tech lab building on the factory already, and this is a key element of any good StarCraft Terran player. Build your add-ons on the previous building and then swap it out once your starport finishes. So that's what Gretorp is going to look to do. He's going to get the tech lab and either going to get a fast Raven or a fast Banshee, and I really think Banshee is going to be the route to go. That's what won him the game last time. Ravens are good too because they can scout, they can throw down those turrets, but really they're much better versus Protoss to scout against possible DTs. We have a couple of Reapers coming out here for Silver, 2 of them. They're going to hop down to this center ground below, and they're going to go into the Terran main and try to do some damage as they're hovering across the center of the map. And at the starport, we do have a Banshee coming out. Gretorp here has a really fast Banshee, and look for this thing to do a lot of damage once it pops out.
Yeah, however, these Reapers can still cause a lot of ruckus, although every second that goes by, that Banshee is closer and closer to being completed. Keep in mind that Reapers are very good against the Marines, and they're going to go up here right when these Marines move out. That is standard timing for the Terran player to push out. So these Reapers could do a lot of damage to SCVs. He is trying to focus fire them down. Needs to make sure to control them, but he's going to get surrounded if he's not careful. I think he is going to lose both of these Reapers. Silver is not. Oh, no, he still has one, just barely. But that was a pretty awesome surround there with those SCVs, and he did take it out. This is really bad news for Silver. He was heavily invested into those Reapers. 2 Reapers with that early tech lab forced the factory to be delayed, and his starport is just now beginning. And Banshees are very good against Marines, which I don't even know that I see any Marines here, or at least not nearly enough to defend. Only 2 Marines here for Silver is going to be able to defend that, and he also just lost a Hellion. So Gretorp, man, he is looking buff. He is looking really good in this series.
Well, at the same time, he also lost quite a few SCVs. I think he lost maybe 4 or 5 to that initial double Reaper harass. I mean, the SCVs, yes, they got the surround, but a couple of them did die. And right now, Gretorp is actually 20 Harvesters under 25. So losing 2 Reapers, yes, that does delay the fact that he got his tech a little bit later, but the Reapers, I think, might have just barely paid off for themselves. So we'll see what this game continues to progress to. Gretorp has the Banshee out, but he's already revealed his hand. He revealed the Banshee, and so now Silver knows exactly what is coming. He can get the defenses he needs against the Banshee. He has some Marines inside the base. He has an engineering base away already, so he can obviously erect turrets if he needs to. Gretorp here obviously electing not to push out. He is going to secure his natural expansion, and he's going to start teching up. He's getting Vikings out of his starport. This is really what he needs to do, and he needs to pump out more harvesters because he's behind right now. 20 harvesters under 28 from those initial Reapers, and really opening with that barracks out early on is